Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. I'm here with a returning guest, one of my favorites of all time, Mr. Ryan Englin. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Josh, it's so cool to be back. I'm so excited for anytime we get to talk, but especially when we get to talk about today's subject.
Oh, I know, man. I've been looking forward to this one. You know, if if I'm being honest, we could talk all day. I mean, we blew almost our whole budget of time talking before the show about this. We should have just recorded that. But anyway, man, you've been on the show before. It's been a couple of years. It was back in 2021. I think it was episode 104 for those out there listening. You know, if you want to catch Ryan's full backstory of how he got to where he is today, go ahead and check that episode out. It's definitely a good one. You're not going to want to miss it. And it'll provide a little bit more context to today's episode. But for those who are listening right now, Ryan, if you could just kind of give us a high level of who you are, where you came from, and how you got to where you are today, and then we'll catch up over the last 2 years, what we missed since the last time we talked.
Yeah. CEO and founder of Core Matters. We're a coaching and training company helping people in the trades hire and retain talent. And I was just telling you before the show, I have this thing now. I just want to make the trades cool again. Like that's my whole focus is what are we going to do to make the trades cool again so we can bring the next generation of workers. I grew up in the blue collar space. My dad was owner operator. And so I've been around it my whole life. And I love this industry. I love the people that are building infrastructure, making it happen. And so I'm so passionate about being able to bring people in the trades and keep them here.
Yeah, and thank goodness, because we all know that we need to bring more people into the trades, and we've all learned recently how much we need to keep them. So, very timely discussion I think we're about to have today. So why don't you fill us in over the last couple of years? You know, I know that you've had a big project that you've been working on for a long time, which we're going to get into today, and so why don't you just kind of fill us in? What's been going on, man?
Yeah, the pandemic came and went and came again and really kind of threw everybody for a loop. And it was during that time that I realized there were so many people that needed this information, that needed to be exposed to this. And we were only going to be able to coach and train so many people, or we were only be able to get so many people to hear about it. So I've been working on a ton of educational content just to get this information out there for the people that need it the most. I mean, what is it? Like 98% of employees in this country are employed by small businesses. It's something crazy number.
Something really stupid. I just read that number.
Yeah. And it's like, there are so many small business owners that are what I call scraping and clawing and doing everything they can to hold on because no one is out there teaching them how to run a business. No one is teaching them the nuances of especially recruiting and building a successful culture and all that. There's tons of books out there, but they're so theory, right? It's all hypothetical. It's all, wouldn't it be a cool idea if? Yes, it would. Now, how do I do that? Well, I don't know.
That's not what we're here for. We're talking about the if.
Yeah. And so I put all this together and I wrote a book and published a book. It's been out for, as the date of this recording, only a couple of weeks. And it is a deep dive into our entire model, the whole thing. Like you could take my book and go implement everything we teach, do it on your own, and it will transform the way you recruit, how you recruit, who you hire, who sticks around, how engaged they are, how profitable they make you because they're going to be more effective, more productive. Like it's just the impact to business is just, it's crazy when you implement the tools in this book.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I got to ask, I mean, what was it that led you to writing a book? I mean, you've got your business. This is what you do for a living. Why put it in a bunch of pages?
Yeah. So I realized a few years ago that the reason construction companies and service companies struggle to recruit is they lost sight of what it is that attracts people to the industry. When knowledge work came out and it was started, all of a sudden it was cool to work for Facebook, cool to work for Google, cool to do something that wasn't working with your hands, that didn't send you home at the end of the day, sweaty and smelly and all that. I think the trades just kind of glossed over and said, no, we're immune to this. Knowledge work. People that want to work with their hands are going to keep coming working for us. And there was this belief that we didn't have to change. We didn't have to do anything. And what I realized was that it was this, what I'm going to say is ignorance, that got in the way of the trades being able to keep up with what job seekers wanted. And if we were going to solve this problem, it wasn't going to be because your company solved this problem, Josh, or because your friend's company solved the problem. It was going to require the whole industry to change and solve the problem. And the only way that I thought that I could impact that much change was to write a book, to memorialize it in black and white so that I could put this in the hands of everybody. And the investment being so small, the barrier to entry being so small, it could make the impact that I want to see it make.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think you're spot on. And also, I think there's something to be said about the consistency of it as well. And we talk about exactly what you had said, right? We kind of lost sight as to what attracts people to this industry, which means we were kind of all left to our own facilities, right? We were either using old ways to try to attract people to the industry and older ways of thinking, and maybe the next generation doesn't really resonate with that, or maybe we're just trying to, forgive my language, but throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Right?
Yeah, do that too.
But what you've done, Ryan, for the industry is essentially created a blueprint, right, as to what can resonate, what can work everywhere between the hiring process and retention. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. That's huge. I hope my listeners are paying attention, because that's gigantic. So let's kind of start, if you wouldn't mind, let's start at the beginning about, attracting people to this industry. What is it that you've written about, or what is it that you've noticed over the years? How can we attract people to the skilled trades?
Yeah, I think, there's nuances to this whole thing, but the bottom line is, if you're not attracting good people, you're likely not attractive to good people. It's that simple. And so how do we fix that? And that's the thing that we did in the book, is this is very much a how-to. It's not as simple as step by step, but it's, let's go do these things. People in this environment make snap judgments. We all do it. Right? You've heard that you've got 5 seconds or 3 seconds to make an impression, or when you're building a website, you got 3 seconds to capture their attention. I mean, we measure our attention span in seconds now. We really do.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about that. My kids were just watching something the other day on TV, and it had the commercial break, and it actually had the 90-second countdown timer, because we measure things in seconds now. When I was a kid, there was no timer. We're like, there's 4 or 5 commercials. We'll figure it out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are so focused on those quick judgments. And when you own a company and you put your employer brand out there, what are you saying to people? And what are you saying to the right people? Or what are you saying to the wrong people? And it's really understanding that if you want to attract good people, you have to be attractive to good people. And the way to do that is to sit down and define a good person. I bring leaders in all the time and I say, great, define for me, the best HVAC tech. You know what they don't say? They don't say that they know how to run a load calc. They don't say, they know how to cut sheet metal and fabricate. They don't say those things. You know what they tell me? They show up on time. They give a damn. They don't have a problem talking to the customer. They own their mistakes. And they just go through this list of behaviors and mindset. They never once tell me about their ability to use the tools. Yet, when we go out and recruit, and we go out and we post our job ads, and we build career pages, and we do all these things, what's it always about? Must be able to do this, must be able to do that, must be able to do this. Not the stuff that we say is important, but the stuff that the industry has said for decades. We haven't changed. Therefore, we start attracting the wrong kind of people.
Wow, I'm letting that sink in. Listen, I know that I've gone through your program. I've heard this before. I've lived it. I've worked it like personally with you.
Yeah.
But it's still the impact that it makes. Hearing you say that, is just it's amazing, because you're absolutely right. And we're 2 years removed from doing the work in my company that you're talking about, and then the difference that it made to me was incredible. But I look around, and it's just not the mindset yet. When you're staring it in the face, it's so obvious, right? It really is. And I think that's what's really cool about it is, once you get it, you get it, and so what's the solution to that? I mean, we're all stuck in our ways, Ryan, and this is how you post. This is how you put a job ad out. There can be no other way, sir.
Yeah. This is going to sound overly simplified, and it might be a little bit, but take recruiting away from the owner, take recruiting away from the HR department, and give recruiting to your marketing team. When you understand that recruiting is marketing, it will transform the results that you get. So fast too. Yeah.
It is amazing. It really, truly is. And I laugh because that's exactly what I did, and I was exactly that person that we're talking about before that, where, me or my dad, it's a family owned business. We would go out, we would do the recruiting, and we would, look for the techs, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so, through the work that we've done, with Core Matters and with you, my marketing department handles probably 95% of it, which is funny because my director of marketing, who's going to be editing this podcast, is going to listen to this, and he'll laugh just the way that I laughed just now, because he was involved in this process and now he owns that, that part of it. So no, it truly is. It's transformational when you begin to think about it that way. And we've always said, right? I don't know how many times I've heard on this podcast that the trades has a marketing problem, right? It's the trades aren't considered sexy, but it's not because they aren't. It's because we don't know how to frame it that way.
Yeah. I think the other problem too, that I think I see across the industry, is that we forget who the influencers are in this space. We forget who the people that really have influence over the next generation of people coming to the trades. You see a lot of effort around these young influencers right out of high school, right out of college, showing the kids, look at all the cool things. But what I think we forget is that for those kids in high school, those kids figuring out what they want to do when they grow up, some of the most influential people in their lives are their parents. And these modern day influencers are doing nothing to influence the parents, to get the parents to go, hell yeah, I'd be proud of my kid for being an iron worker, or being a welder, or being an HVAC tech, or a plumber, right? One of the disgusting jobs, right? And that's what I think where we're missing. As an industry, we're missing that. We think, oh, we've got to influence these kids, and we've got to have baseball cards, and we've got to have some of this stuff to get in front of the kids. But the whole time the parents are sitting there saying, no self-respecting kid of mine is going to go into the trades.
Right.
You're going to go to college. And if you want to know what Josh thinks about college,
stay tuned. No.
Yeah. If you don't already know, but that's what's happening. And we forget that that's a marketing problem to solve.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think it's fair to note, I love that you said that the first influencers are the parents, right? And it's not for lack of caring that they're telling their kids to steer away from these industries. It's for lack of knowledge.
Yeah, they don't know better.
They don't know. But how would they, right? I mean, it's unless you're in the trades, we don't project these stories the way that they need to be projected, and they can't land where they need to land. So no,
or what you have is, I mean, you probably know who they are because they're out there in Phoenix. You have a plumbing company that says we're the smell good plumber.
Yeah.
Implying that plumbers stink.
Yeah.
And so parents see that and they're like, well, there's only one company that has smell good plumbers. And then they came to my house. They didn't smell any better than the other plumbers I know. So I don't want my kid being a plumber. Or we have the don't be a Melvin taglines. Right?
Yeah.
Or we have we're on time or it's free or whatever these taglines are, implying that the industry as a whole is a bad industry. That we don't care, we don't take any pride in our work, we don't do that. So we have these marketing teams that think they're doing good for the company they work for, but they're really hurting the entire industry.
Yeah. So to clarify for the audience what you just said, you have blue collar companies that either really lean into the stigma,
yes,
or the ones that are trying to kill it, right?
Yeah.
And so if there's any advice you take from this episode, it's do the latter. Okay.
It's crazy. I don't know why it is, but the ones that really lean into the stigma, they must have better marketing teams or bigger marketing budgets because they're everywhere.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Let's keep moving forward on this timeline of hiring and retention. So attracting people to the industry, we've heard about that. What's the next step? Is it getting people to want to work for you? Is it, is it the retention? Is it the onboarding? What comes next in this process?
So if you're struggling with retention right now, which I know everybody is struggling with retention, or they're fearful that someone's going to leave. The reality is 7 out of 10 employees are open to switching jobs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they work for you or someone else, 7 out of 10. So knowing that, your job is to do the best you can at keeping the people you have. But if you want to solve the problem, you need to start making better hiring decisions. And knowing what's a good hiring decision, it would be the next step.
Okay. So yeah, I like that angle. Let's talk about that because you're right. We can attract everybody we want, but maybe we don't want everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of this is knowing what the modern workforce wants in an employer. You've heard this before. People don't leave jobs. They leave people.
Managers.
They leave managers, bosses. They leave toxic cultures or dysfunctional teams. That's what people leave. When someone goes home at the end of the day and is just in a bad mood and they take it out on their kids, it's not because they don't make enough money. Yeah. It's never because I got my paycheck today, I'm pissed off. That's not the case. They go home at the end of the day because they're unappreciated, or they're talked down to, or they're made to feel inferior or worthless, or they're ignored. They're passed over for promotions. They feel lied to. I mean, I can keep going down the list of reasons why people leave jobs.
Yeah.
Why they leave people and why they switch companies. And if you want to hire the right people, you have to make sure you're not doing the things that makes people want to leave. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And is that the job of the owner? Is that the job of the manager? Is that the job of everybody in the company? I mean, who owns it? Who owns it, Ryan?
Yes. I mean, here's the trick question I ask everybody. Josh, how many people you have at your company right now? Ballpark.
About 65.
65. So I would argue that you have 65 people that are responsible for recruiting, that are responsible for hiring, that are responsible for retention, you have 65 people that are responsible for that.
Yeah.
Because when your office manager goes home at the end of the day and complains to her family about what a Yahoo the owner of the company is, they're marketing for you. It's not the kind of marketing you want. But that's marketing and promotion. And they're telling people this is not a good company to work for.
Yeah.
Everybody is responsible for it. So understanding why people leave jobs, why they leave people, and understanding what they're looking for. Remember, nobody's looking for more money. They're looking for greener pasture. And what that means depends on the role that they're in. It depends on their generation, because there's a generation gap out there. We have to understand that different generations want different things. If I'm in my late 50s, I'm not thinking about a career path, right? I'm thinking about How do I make sure I have enough money that I get to retire before my body gives out? So you have to understand some of the differences.
Yeah.
Generations, roles, those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, people are driven by what I believe two things. Number one, they're driven by the fact that you're going to help them accomplish personal goals. And number two, you're going to give them a substitute for the things they're giving up when they come to work for you. See, when someone gets up in the morning and they kiss their spouse and they come to work, they kiss their spouse goodbye and they come to work for the day, they're giving up time with their family. They're giving time up with their friends. They're giving time up for the things they do for fun, their hobbies and their dreams and their goals. They're giving that up in exchange for coming to work for you, in exchange for $25 an hour, $30 an hour. And that is not enough to replace those priceless things. So if you want people to be engaged, highly engaged, and love coming to work for you, you have to give them a substitute for family, friends, and the things they do for fun. You have to give them an opportunity to feel like they belong there. People want belonging. They want relationships. Gallup has a poll, a survey you can take called the Q12. It's an engagement survey.
I love Gallup.
And one of the questions, you're 6 times more likely to be engaged if you say yes to one of the 12 questions. And it's, do you have a best friend at work?
That one always stuck with me, man. I knew the answer.
Do you have a best friend at work? And if they answer no to that, they're not going to be engaged because you're not giving them a substitute for what they left when they came to work today.
Yeah.
And then the other one is you got to help them accomplish their personal goals. I don't come to work because I feel like I was designed to do this work. I come to work because I want to buy a house. Mm-hmm. I come to work because I want to put my kids in a good school. I come to work because I want to drive a nice car. I come to work because I like to take vacations. That's why I come to work. And yes, the money is going to help me accomplish those things. But I know a lot of people that just love heading up to the mountains for the weekend, just camping, most inexpensive thing in the world. But if you don't give an opportunity to be able to accomplish those goals, they're not going to stick around for very long.
Yeah. No, that's really powerful stuff. And I want to challenge you on one thing, if you don't mind, because I know
let's do it.
My listeners are going to have this question too. And it's, what's the amount? And I ask this because in a lot of sectors of the industries that I'm involved in, people are getting, let's call it poached, right? For between now, I mean, it was less when you and I talked, right? But now we're seeing people jump for between $5 and $8 more an hour.
Yeah.
So what's the number where somebody says, I really love working here in this culture and they're helping me accomplish my personal goals and I can justify the things that I'm giving up, right, for coming to work. But this other company is offering me this much more. I mean, that's like $1,000 more a month.
Yeah.
You know what? So where is there a way to combat that? Do you still, does this model still apply?
So the question I would ask is, why do you believe someone would leave for $8 an hour? Why do you believe that they would do that? And have you really thought about what would motivate someone? Because here's the reality, Josh. If I work for you, I'm going to leave for one of two reasons. One, I decided I'm going to start looking. Two, someone called me and said, hey, there's this other company. Those are the only two ways that I'm going to leave. I either make the decision or someone puts the decision in my head.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So if I make the decision, it's not about money.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
If someone else puts the decision in my head and I open to that decision and I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about leaving. It's not about money. The reason they pay $8 more an hour, this is what I've seen.
Yeah.
Is because they're a crummy company to work for.
Yeah.
And the only way they can bribe you enough, because this is what it is a bribe.
Yeah.
is to pay you $8 more an hour because they know that's what it's going to take for you to deal with the garbage of going to work there. How many of those people that leave for $8 an hour end up being lifers with that company, or end up not calling you back, or not coming back, or end up saying, you know what? Yeah, I did it for 6 months and that was it. And I moved on. But they had their tail between their legs. They didn't want to come back and say, I messed up.
Yeah. Actually, I've seen that quite a bit, to your point.
And so one of the things that I've learned in this is if someone wants to leave you for $8 an hour, I would encourage every one of your listeners to be the most humble, most gracious, most honorable person in helping them leave. Not you're kicking them out. I'm here for you, man. You got to do what you got to do for your family. And I get it. You got to take this risk. But I want you to know, I don't care how you feel. If it doesn't work out and you call me, I'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
And when you approach it that way, here's the cool thing. When he comes back in 6 months, he ain't ever going to leave again. He ain't ever going to leave again. And if you really do want to invest in your people, even tell them, hey, I know it's $8 more an hour, man. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Take that $8 an hour that you're making extra, put it in a savings account. Don't up level your life yet. Don't up level your lifestyle, because if it doesn't work out, you may not be able to find that again. I'm just telling you what I know about the industry. Take that money, put it in a savings account. If it works out, awesome. Take your family out on vacation. But if not, you haven't up-leveled your lifestyle to where you feel like you're stuck in a job that you don't like because you can't find something else that's going to pay that.
Man, I love that. Fantastic answer. Oh, that's great. No, and you know what? Honestly, I mean, I know that my audience is listening intently right now, right? Because, you know, kind of to your point when we started off this podcast, this is a way of thinking that isn't mainstream yet, right? This is why you wrote the book, because it is impactful. You know, it's impactful. I know it's impactful. You know, and the more we can get people thinking like this, the better chances that we have of not only attracting people to these wonderful blue collar skill trade industries, but keeping them here. You know, which is fantastic. All right, good. We still got time left, so I want to keep going in the timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
What did we miss? We've got onboarding, and then we've got whatever it is we don't know. So Ryan, where do we go from here?
Well, I want to share one because I don't want to gloss over it. We talk about it in the book. It's really important piece, especially if you're quickly growing or you're a smaller company and you don't have a lot of resources. There's a whole component called automate. There's a whole component on automating the recruiting and the attracting and the interviewing and onboarding. There's a whole component around automation. And I don't want to let people know that's not there. Now, we don't have time to get into it right now. But I will tell you, when I define automation, I'm not talking about machinery. Like most people think, oh, there's a software program I have to buy, or there is, something else like a piece of equipment I have to buy to make things automated. That is not true. Here's how I define automated. Automated means it happens without your involvement. So if you give it to someone on your team, you just automated it. Let's just be really clear here. Okay,
That's fair.
And if they give it to someone else and it happens without their involvement, good for them. But I want to be really clear. There's a whole component in there. We talk about automation. We won't get into it. Yes, there is software that will help you do this. You're familiar with it.
Yeah.
I believe you guys still use it to this day.
We do.
And that software, it really is. I mean, that's one of the first things we introduce in our program because it has such a dramatic impact in such a short amount of time.
It's been a game changer for us.
Yeah. And then once we finish that, we really want to look at interviewing. How are we interviewing correctly?
Interviewing.
I run into so many companies and I ask them about their interview process, and they usually either get really shy, or they laugh at me because everybody's moved to if they just show up on time, they get the job sort of test.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what we're hearing from the applicants that actually are coming to us and they go through our interview process, which I won't get into. I'll let you get into that.
Yeah.
But they go through that and we say, well, what do you like so far? What do you like? well, you didn't hire me in 10 minutes. So every other company that I've interviewed for in this space has given
within
me
10 minutes
without getting to know me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change it then, because I used to say 15. I'm going to have to make it 10 now.
It's 10 now, but
Woo!
Just like attention spans, it's going
down. Nobody gets married after 10 minutes on the first date.
Yeah, you're right.
And it works out. We won't talk about certain music celebrities, okay, that have done that. But nobody does. Everybody wants to take time to get to know each other and figure it out and make sure that, we mature and we really know the right person. And it's the same thing with recruiting.
Yeah.
Now, you're not dating your employees. Let's be very clear. But the relationship component still matters. And as much as you want to know that you're not hiring another dud, the job seeker wants to know they're not going to be working for another dud.
Yeah.
Goes both ways. And here's the reality during the interview. Most people do not know how to do, on either side, how to do a good interview. They just don't. But that employee is going through one of the most stressful moments in their life, looking for another job. That is super stressful. You think about the impact that has on an employee, even if they're making $40 an hour, there's a lot of risk associated with this. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress. Do they like me? Do they not like me? Are they going to call me back? Are they going to offer me what makes sense? Are they actually going to be better to work for than the last Yahoo I worked for? I mean, so many things. They're nervous. They're stressed out. And what happens is we have these great people come in and they don't talk a lot. They don't have really good, succinct answers. They don't wow me. And I think, oh, what a loser. And what we need to do as employers is we need to walk them through this process. We need to let them know we're here for them. We're here to make it easy. We're here to make it simple. We're here to take the stress out of it. And so it's okay if they don't like the answer. It's okay if they freeze up on a question. Just because they're a bad interviewer doesn't mean they're going to be a bad employee. Unless you're paying someone to be interviewed and that's their job, you're a professional interviewer, we shouldn't really be basing it off of the ability to go through a successful interview. What we really need to do is this someone that can be vulnerable? Is this someone that can open up? Is this someone that we want to connect with? Is this someone that we believe would feel like they belong on our team? Let's have those conversations and find out, why are they leaving? Not just why are you leaving? Oh, my boss and I don't see eye to eye. And usually what happens is when they say something like that, like, oh, that's a bummer. And they're like, might be difficult to work with. Like that's what the interviewer writes down. Let's have that conversation. What do you guys not see eye to eye on? Why is it not working out? Because I want to make sure that I'm not going to be that boss that you're not leaving, because you're going to leave me in 6 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So the interviewing is probably one of the, it is the component that I'm most passionate about, because it's where all the magic happens. You do the interview right, you're going to have a long-term employee. You screw the interview up, you're going to have retention problems.
Yeah.
So
no, it really is. And I could have probably guessed that was your favorite part, because I mean, you instilled a lot of those values in me and my company. I've learned, our techniques, based on your methods. And I got to say, I think the most transformative, revolutionary, I don't know the word, but the my favorite part of it is the transparency. Right. You talked a lot about this when we were going through it. And it's something that I beat into my team. You be as transparent as possible about our business. If we suck at something, you tell them we suck at something. If we're a work in progress, tell them we're a work in progress, right? Because business owners out there have heard this time and time again, and I'm no exception, right? That when people leave, how many times did they say, I didn't get what I was promised, or I didn't know what I was getting into? And, at the end of the day, if there's one thing that you can do that's simple, free, and easy, right? It's you tell the truth. You don't sell your business to somebody else of why they should work for you. You tell them exactly what it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that has paid off tenfold, because we've had it both ways. We've had interviewees come in and say, well, you know what? That does not sound like an environment I want to work in. Okay. Thank you. No problem. Because now we're saving a boatload by not hiring that person because we know that it was almost a guarantee that they were going to leave.
Yeah.
And then the people that say, no, you know what? I get that. I resonate with that. That's, I'm more than willing to, or I work well under pressure, whatever it is, those are the people that have a higher probability of staying. So that transparency piece, I just wanted to interject because that was big for us, and we use it religiously to this day.
I love hearing that. And it's true. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Nobody does. It's okay if you say, open the closet door and be like, here are some of the skeletons that we don't like to talk about, but we do it because this is how we all get better.
Yeah.
And transparency creates a culture of accountability.
Yeah. And it opens the door for those discussions that you were talking about to have better conversations in the interview. I mean, when you're willing to be open and honest like that, it encourages dialogue. People immediately feel more comfortable, because they're not, it's not something that, they're having to live up to or anything. It's two equals talking, and people genuinely appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just got through the hiring part of it. There's a whole nother half of this model. I don't know, Josh.
Well, you got a few more minutes, man.
I got a few more minutes. Yeah, I'll do the abridged version on the rest of it.
Let's do that.
And then you ask questions. So the thing about the model that we didn't spend a lot of time with, but we talked about employer branding, right? That's putting the message out there. So that's core. Core is where your culture is. Impacts all the other components. We talked about find, which is identifying the right people. We talked about automation a little bit. We talked about interviewing. Those are all the things you have to do before you hire somebody. Then there's a whole half of the model that's left. So the next part is onboarding. You do all this great work. You have this great transparency. You have this great conversation during the interview. And then you say, all right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace out. They show up 2 weeks later and HR is like, oh, they never told me you were actually starting. We're not ready for you, right? And all of a sudden, everything that they believed to be true is now gone because you did not focus on an effective onboarding program. So we have what we call the 2-4-12 launch. It's a 2-week, 4-week, 12-week process. So it's 12 weeks total. We call it 2-4-12 because in each of those phases, there's different things happening for different reasons. And building that onboarding process is really, it can be a real challenge to build it, but once it's built, it's almost autopilot, which people love. So that's that piece. And the reason we do effective onboarding is because at the end of 90 days, we want something to happen, which we call OTR squared. We want people to own their role. We want them to own the results. When they own their role, they're not like, hey, boss, can I do this? Hey, boss, can I do this? Hey, boss, what do you got next for me? Hey, boss, I think there might be a problem over there, but I don't know how to deal with it. They own their role. They see an opportunity, they take advantage, and they go get it done. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, thank you for taking care of something I didn't even see yet. And then when you own their results, they take ownership in both their wins and their losses, which is really hard for a lot of people right now, especially in the trades, because you know what we do really good in the trades? We do really well. I mean, better than almost any other industry I've seen. We're really good at making sure people own their losses.
This is true.
We're really good at that.
Yeah.
I don't even have to finish it because we know what we don't do.
Yeah.
What do we do to justify it? Well, that's their job. They just did their job.
Yep.
No, they just won for you today. You need to celebrate that. Yep. So that's onboarding. And then we get into engagement, which is now it's 90 days after they've started working with you. How do you keep them engaged so that they're productive, they're profitable, they're safe? They've got good customer satisfaction scores. They're a good team player and they're part of the team and they're creating that sense of belonging. And we do that through two things. One, we call the core fit conversation, which some of you might think of a quarterly conversation or a quarterly review or a semi-annual review. But we flip it on its head and we do it backwards. The core fit conversation, if you are my supervisor, Josh, The core fit conversation is not you telling me all the things I can do better and all the things you like about me.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It's me telling you all the things that I think we could do to improve the relationship, improve the work environment, and all the things that are working for me. It's an opportunity for you to learn how to become a better employer, because that is more valuable long-term than if you tell me how to make me a better employee.
Now, is that done in conjunction with telling them how to be a better employee?
Well, here's my thought on that. So if someone ever gets to a quarterly conversation or quarterly review and they are surprised by anything, you didn't do your job as a manager the last 90 days. Mm-hmm. So it's not in combination, because you should be managing them real time. There should be weekly scorecards. You should be having conversations with them on a weekly or a daily basis, depending on where they're at in onboarding or where they're at in their career path. They should know real time, or as close to real time as possible, what they can do to improve. What a dumb way to run a business. And I see so many people do this. Like, if we had a machine that wasn't operating well, would we like, you know what? It's not the end of Q4 yet. We can't fix that machine. We're going to wait to the end of Q4 and then we're going to order the parts for the machine and then we'll fix it. But we do that with people all the time. It's like, I don't want to have a tough conversation now because it's really not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And then what happens is 90 days go by and it just compounds and becomes such a big deal. Now we have it. They're surprised. You want to fire them. They're disappointed. It's not good.
No.
We're talking about engaging people.
You know, and you take it to a whole new level. Like, I have a rule here that nobody is to be let go if they're not expecting it. Right. I mean, outside of some pretty serious exceptions, which, if I'm being honest, we have seen, you know, which is unfortunate. But I mean, everybody here knows that how pissed off I get if it gets to the point where we're saying we got to let this person go, but that person has no idea that it's coming. You know, I really, really, really hate that. And it happens a lot in the trades, and there's a ton to unpack there. We can't.
That's a whole nother episode or two.
A whole nother episode, all the way from leadership down to management and everything in between. You know, but that is so. So my point is, you know, that's me up here, and you've taken it all the way. You know, which is great because there's value in it. So
we have a lot of people that come to us once they're confident that they can hire well. They come to us to say, okay, I got some people I got to let go. Mm-hmm. What's the right way to do that? First question I ask them: are they going to be surprised when you tell them they're fired? I'm not kidding you. We had one client that was like, hell yeah, she's going to be surprised. I'm like, what? What?
Why do you seem so excited about that?
Not a proud moment for you. You just told me a whole bunch of different ways that you're not doing your job as their leader. So that's one way. And then the other way we engage people is what I call the Growth Accelerator Program. This is a personal and professional development program, typically 3 years, that bridges the gap. Growth Accelerator Program, a little consultant thing there, bridges the gap from where they are to where they want to be in their personal life. So probably the closest thing I can think is Dream Manager. Right? That's what we're talking about here, the Growth Accelerator Program. If I've got a program, Josh, that is going to help you achieve one of your big life goals, like buying a house, finishing your college degree, whatever it is, and I was there to support you as your employer doing that, what are the odds you're going to leave me in 3 years? And I'm not saying I got to spend money on this stuff. You just got to coach them and mentor them and guide them. Entrepreneurs, executives, business leaders, supervisors have so much real world life skills to teach their people that just a little bit of mentoring, a little bit of coaching, you'd be amazed how far that takes you in engaging people. And then the last component is called assess. And this is where we get into data and metrics and reporting and everything else. And here's what we're assessing. We are not assessing the individual. We are assessing your process. Because eventually your process will break. And if you are not assessing your process and you're not assessing the right things, like ignoring the vanity metrics and whatnot, you're not going to know how to fix it quickly when something breaks. When the market changes, when the economy changes, when a whole generation decides, I want nothing to do with the trades, you are not going to know how to fix it. And so you've got to be assessing the process the entire way.
Yeah, no, and that's not something that I've hered before. I'm very, very excited to learn more about that. I wish we had 2.5 more hours.
Well, there's a chapter in the book. It's about 20 pages long called On Assess, and it's a whole bunch of questions to answer to determine what kind of metrics you should be looking at.
Awesome.
So again, I there's a little bit of theory and ideas in here, but a lot of it's rubber meets the road. How do you make it happen?
Yeah.
And I wrote this book to be a manual for the people in the trades because I know this market. They don't want another pie in the sky. That's a great idea book. They're like, I want to go build something with it.
Yeah.
And that's what this book was meant to do.
Incredible. That's incredible. All right, Ryan, I'm going to let you go. But before I do, I need to ask you a final question here. So typically how this goes is I ask you how you define success, right? But we've already done that. You've already been on the show. You've already answered that question. So I know how you define success. What I want to ask you is, how would you define success for your clients?
So that goes into our purpose statement over here at Core Matters. And it's challenging our clients to think outside the box, to challenge the status quo, to do things differently so that they can focus on the things that matter most to them.
Love it. Drop the mic on that one, man. Thank you so much. That is fantastic. All right. This is the part where you get to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your book, how they can grab a copy, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Corematters.com is where you can learn all about what it is that we do. We've got a whole library of education, free content, book downloads, all sorts of things there. The book is available anywhere you can buy books, except for the airport. I'm waiting for it to show up in the airport. Just in the airport, I'm like, oh, maybe. No, it wasn't there. But Amazon, all the booksellers have it. And in fact, the audiobook is dropping right now as well. So there's an audiobook version of this. I just found out it just hit Apple Books today. So I was so excited about that. I'm almost there. It's not on Amazon yet, but it will be soon. So there will be an audiobook version of it. You can buy that. And for anybody that buys the book and goes to hirebetterpeoplefaster.com, we've got a whole bunch of downloads for them as well. 12 tools and templates that we talk about in the book you can get as a free resource from us.
That's awesome. All right, Ryan. Well, I'll let you go on that. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. Congratulations on the launch of your new book. I will be reading it soon, and you bet that I'm going to be giving you my opinion on it. But I am really excited to do so, and just thank you, man, for everything that you do for your clients, these employers, small business owners, and most importantly, my beloved skilled trades.
Thanks, Josh.
All right. Take care, bud.